You can start.
Okay, sir. Hello, everyone. So we invite our dear chief guest, Mr. Atul Juble, General Counsel and Company Secretary, India and Southeast Asia, Schindler, India. IDAC Director, Mr. Manish Bakshi, Speaker, Arbitration Lawyer, Ravi Shankar, and the participants. A very good evening to all of you. I am Bhanu Kapoor, an advocate, and I am the moderator today. I welcome all of you to this webinar on India-seated international arbitration. We have two eminent speakers who have great command over the subject. First of all, let me welcome Mr. Manish Bakshi, who is a chartered accountant by profession and the director of IDAC India, to deliver his welcome address.
Thank you very much. So once again, today, I would like to welcome the participant and very good morning to the participants from London and Germany. Good afternoon to India, Dubai, and participant from Mauritius. And good evening to friends from China, Singapore. So we have truly international arbitration seminar going on. Atul sir, to brief you about the participants. And I, on behalf of the IDAC India, International and Domestic Arbitration Center, institutional arbitration center of its kind in India, and our knowledge partner, Ravi Shankar Law Senate, would like to welcome Atulji in this last day, but very important session, that India-seated international arbitration. And sir, and my dear friends, today it is why more so important and relevant, because under the pandemic, COVID-19, the way of life has changed. The socio-economic pattern has changed. And so is going to be case with the arbitration. So online arbitration is going to be the way of a new arbitration process, not domestically, but internationally also. And the entire objective of this particular lecture series is to make India an hub for the international arbitration per se in general, and an online international arbitration center in particular. With this objective, I once again welcome each and every participant for the overwhelming response to this particular lecture series. Welcome to Atulji, sir. Welcome to this webinar as a chief guest and as a keynote address. Ravi Shankar sir, for your continuous support as a knowledge partner. And this is the 5th continuous day when we all are enriched by the immense knowledge sharing by the Ravi Shankar ji. And my dear friends, I would like to tell you that today is the last day of this webinar. Today is not the end. This is the beginning. This is the journey of the international India-seated arbitration and online arbitration has just begun. With these few words, I would like to welcome all of you once again. Thank you. Over to moderator.
So here I invite our inaugurator today, Mr. Atul Juble, who has a long experience in the field of dispute resolution. He has handled various international arbitrations seated in various states of the world. Featured in 100 Powerful GSCs 2018 list published by Legal 500, UK recognized by Asian Legal Business, HK as in-house lawyer, International 2019 and member of CII Regulatory Committee 2020 to 21. He is the General Counsel of Schneider as well. I am proudly inviting Mr. Atul Juble to deliver his inaugural address.
Sir, your audio has to be.
Okay. I can now. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, Advocate Bhanu, for warm introduction. I would also like to welcome all the participants. Number is exceeding expectations, and really wonderful welcome to all of you to this seminar last day webinar series on this India seated arbitration. Today the subject is online arbitration. Before I say something on the subject and the today's session, I would like to also thank IDAC India, Mr. Bakshi, Sri Ravi sir, and Law Senate for inviting me on this last day of seminar webinar as a speaker, one of the particular chief guests. Okay, today the subject is online arbitration and India seated arbitration. As Manish ji has indicated that we want to make India as a international hub for arbitration. The changes in law happened last year, but frankly, at least I was not expecting that this will become a fast subject, because online arbitration subject is online, actually dispute resolution subject is pending for almost a decade. It started in 2007 and now it is looking actually tight. And then even last year when we discussed, we were actually having that this will become a reality maybe towards next 5 to 10 years. But thanks to Corona, because of Corona, lawyers are in a great demand. There are two gifts to the lawyer. One is a force majeure and second is online. So really we should be thankful, because the development which we are expecting in coming decade, it has come to your doorstep in 2 months' time. It's really a great advantage of particularly Corona. Now, when we said this dream of making India arbitration center, dream is okay, but we have to see feasibility also. And feasibility from the perspective has 3 aspects. First aspect is infrastructure, second aspect is people, and third aspect is market. So infrastructure, last year we were not sure, but online court proceedings have started. Domestic arbitration proceedings have also started. So naturally infrastructure test is we have complied with. Though not 100%, but I can say majorly in infrastructure, India has good reputation, particularly on the online facility. Second, feasibility is people. Answer is partially yes, partially no, because still we have to learn many things. But yes, we have got seniors like Sri Ravi sir. So there are good number of councils who can give justice to online arbitration or online dispute resolution. But as I said, answer partially no, and partially no holds a great potential, career potential for all the participants as a practice as well as employment also. So certainly second criteria also is encouraging. So not only we are dreaming, but we can see that reality coming up with full scale, if not in this year, but in coming 2 or 3 years, it will be at a huge scale. Third aspect, whether we have got market. Market we were seeing actually for last 5 years, because I don't want to name, but few international domestic centers are running because of India's cases. And that's a great market. That's a great market for us. So I see a great possibility of our dream becoming true. That is India seated arbitration, international arbitration, as well as online arbitration. Actually, I don't have any doubt that it holds an excellent potential. Further, due to Corona, people will not like to travel. So all international transactions where India is concerned, and there are n numbers of transactions where international agreements are there, they are preferring other other centers for the arbitration because of the speed, because of the cost advantage, but India will be a greatest cost advantage on this all other domestic center, international domestic centers. So we qualify all the parameters, and just we have to work together to make this dream reality. And where I don't think absolutely I don't have any doubt on that. So it's a great pleasure to, particularly I wanted to thank IDSE India for conducting this series. I don't think any parallelly conducted series for India. So really thanks to IDSE India for conducting this webinar series. And of course, Ravi sir, I could attend these 3 webinars and they are going excellent. Today also, without much taking time, I would like to hand over mic to Ravi sir. I think if you can start with sir on the seat of arbitration, and then maybe few clarification on the seat of arbitration for the participant, and I will hand over the mic to Ravi sir. Thank you very much once again, and I will be there actually till the end of the session, because I also want to learn. I am a great fan of Ravi sir. I want to learn the international rules of IDSE. Thank you very much.
So now we have our today's speaker who is having experience of 27 years in the field of dispute resolution. He is an arbitrator lawyer handling various international and domestic arbitrations. He is also an advocate on record in Supreme Court of India. Presenting before you, Mr. Ravi Shankar.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, let me thank Mr. Atul Jubilee for his wonderful words, very generous appreciations, and IDSE India for giving us an opportunity to learn about certain future mechanisms on which the international arbitration is going to work. Friends, now, before going into today's sessions, let me little bit brush up the 4 days summary, and then I will start this today's session. As the chief guest put it, that I should start with the explanation with seat of arbitration. Let me start, and he will also be joining with me in replying to your answers at the end of the session at 4 o'clock. So now let us start what all we saw in these 4 days. Friends, all of us were talking about the Second World War, after which the whole world wanted to have a uniform dispute resolution system to encourage commercial disputes getting settled faster, easily, so that international trade can happen and all over the world there can be equality in economy. So this was the objective in the 50s, and then first venture which was taken at that point of time was trying to encourage countries to recognize the arbitration awards passed from different countries. At that point of time, even though there was no uniform arbitration law all over the world, every country had its own arbitration law. Because many of the commercial companies and commercial entities did not want to go into the regular civil procedure code to resolve their business disputes and commercial disputes because of the complexities of the civil litigation and the procedural difficulties of various courts in the world. So they were all keen in going for arbitration only as a dispute resolution mechanism. So at that point of time, 1958, New York Convention was brought in, by which all the member countries decided to recognize two things. One is recognizing the arbitration agreement in each agreement, each contract. Whenever courts see an arbitration agreement in a contract, they will not proceed with the case. They will refer the matter to arbitration. This was the first understanding. Second understanding was, in member countries, if awards are passed, they should be treated at par with the court degrees to avoid once again challenge and frustrating the award. So these two concepts were accepted globally at that point of time by 36 countries, and now 163 countries have agreed to recognize each other's award. So the first stage we crossed, that is unifying the world to recognize the arbitration agreement as well as award. Then the second challenge came before all the countries was the law of each country was totally different from others. So a trader trading with few countries will not be able to understand what kind of a mechanism, arbitration mechanism available in that country. So what they did was, the United Nations through UNCITRAL developed a model law in consultation with various countries. In consultation with various countries, and developed a model law and propagated to all the countries. And many countries came forward to adopt that model law. We are also a model law country. So globally, all the major economies are having almost similar arbitration law. So this was the second big achievement in the development of international arbitration. And at this point of time, let us go to Mr. Atul Juvle's question of seat of arbitration. Because here we are talking about encouraging the seat of arbitration in India. So let us understand the seat of arbitration. The seat is the place where the jurisdictional arbitration jurisdiction lies. We can take it like that. For example, once the parties from different countries choose New Delhi as the seat of arbitration, the courts in New Delhi comes as the supervising courts. The Indian Arbitration Law, Arbitration and Conciliation Act becomes the procedural law of the arbitration. So with the seat, these two things comes in. So when procedural law comes in, the entire arbitration process will be controlled by the procedural law. This one supervisory court comes in. What are their powers? Their powers are to appoint the arbitrators. Their powers are to hear the challenges over the arbitrators. Their powers are to entertain interim applications if jurisdiction is there. And lastly, challenging the arbitration award can happen only in that place. So the supervisory courts come in. So it is a complete package. This cannot be divided. This is decided by whom? Decided by parties. Parties decide which will be the seat of arbitration. So once parties decide a seat of arbitration, the supervising courts and the procedural law comes automatically. What all they can decide in the arbitration agreement? They can decide the substantive law. As I told you, the beauty of international arbitration is neutral seat and neutral substantive laws. Once parties from two countries are fighting with each other, they need not fight in either of the countries. They can go to a third country and fight their dispute. That is why neutral seat comes in. So neutral seats also comes in. Substantive law also they can select any law in the world. So substantive law also they can select. As I told you, law governing the arbitration agreement and procedural law are interpreted similarly, but still you can incorporate it separately. The other two things which are to be incorporated are the arbitrator appointment procedure or institution rules. If you choose an institution, all appointment procedure, challenge procedure, fees, everything comes in that. Preferably, international arbitration should have a arbitration institution to manage the arbitration. That helps administratively, that gives you predictable costs, that ensures efficiency in the arbitration process. Then last one, but not the least one, what has to be added is the language of arbitration. As I told you, if you don't incorporate the language of arbitration, the default language of the procedural law may be applied on the arbitration, which may create some difficulties. So once parties decide seat, applicable laws, institution arbitration, language of arbitration, and if ad hoc arbitration, then appointment procedure. Then the arbitration clause is complete clear. What else you can put in case if you want to specify any qualification for the arbitrators, you can specify. In some of the infrastructure contracts, they put at least one of the arbitrators should be a engineer having experience in a particular field. If you put like that, then the formation of the tribunal, at least one person will be technically qualified person. So these are all under the party supremacy, party autonomy. They can decide. If any one of the thing you don't decide and put in the contract, then it will be decided by a tribunal or by a court. So preferably we should put all those things in. And India seated, we saw a few important things. What will happen in India seated arbitrations? India seated arbitration procedural law is Arbitration and Conciliation Act. This is a UNCITRAL model law, so foreign parties will easily agree for that. And we have certain more precautions inbuilt in that. One of the most wonderful precaution which any country will like is the transparency in arbitration. That is, the arbitrator, if he is considered for appointment, he has to disclose his relationship with lawyers attending in the case as well as the parties involved in the case. So if any of the arbitrator is related in certain degree of relationship, they are disqualified from participating, being an arbitrator. In certain other cases, as I told you, the certain other case, Schedule 5 is a disqualification, Schedule 7 is a orange list. If those relationships are there, then parties can consider retaining them by waiving their objection. And we saw yesterday competence. Any objection to the arbitral tribunal with regard to jurisdiction or appointment has to be raised before the tribunal only. This is a globally accepted practice. Only differentiation is in case if any of the relationship of the arbitrator with the counsel or the party lies in the prohibited list of Schedule 5, then you can approach the High Court under Section 14 and get a replacement of the arbitrator. Then courts will remove and appoint a new arbitrator. And the other specific provision Indian arbitration law has is it excludes patent illegality while handling the international arbitrations. This is one significant difference from others. Then the third thing what is important is the fee prescribed for arbitrations is also inbuilt in the Arbitration Act. but it is only a recommended provision, it is not mandatory. But arbitral institutions can fix a different fee other than the scheduled fee. So these are the important things we saw. And one more important thing what we saw was, while challenging an international commercial arbitration award or while enforcing it in India, you need not go to the district court or the lower courts. Directly, high courts have the power to handle them. So that is one convenience for handling the litigations relating to international arbitrations. So this is what we saw on the first day. Second day, we saw about the interim orders and emergency arbitration. Interim orders, we said, if a requirement is there, best thing is you have to go to the national court of the respondent and seek a interim order where the asset or the respondent's company is available. If not, if it is very inconvenient, many of the arbitral institutions offer emergency arbitration practice provision by which institutions themselves appoint a emergency arbitrator within few days, and the whole process gets completed in 1 week or 2 weeks. This international emergency arbitration award is clearly enforceable in Singapore and Hong Kong. In other places, still it is gray. India, it is not enforceable. So, but why people go for emergency arbitrator award even after this difficulty in enforcement is the parties normally cooperate with the emergency arbitrator award to avoid any negative impression on the arbitral tribunal. Because once the arbitral tribunal is formed, the arbitral tribunal will definitely have a negative impression over the party who is non-cooperating with the emergency arbitration award. So the emergency arbitration award is practically in use and it is effective also. And the third day, we saw courts when interfere in the awards. Arbitration awards are normally final in nature. Only in a specific situations, courts interfere. One of the main reason is if the award is perverse in nature, that means not on the basis of evidence or ignoring the main evidence or taking irrelevant evidence as the basis for it and decide the award as with the finding that cannot be a finding of a common prudent man, which is shocking the conscience of the court, then courts interfere. Otherwise, the courts don't interfere. But still, we see certain technicalities, qualifications which are available in the Act. You can see that. I don't want to repeat again. But fundamental principles of Indian law is one of the grounds for challenging the international arbitration awards. We saw public policy. Public policy is reduced to a great extent by removing the patent illegality from that. So international commercial awards are almost final in India. Then yesterday we saw the enforcement related issues. Enforcement, I explained to you, you require mainly 3 documents only to enforce: the original or authenticated copy of the award, the original or authenticated arbitration agreement, the original or authenticated documents to show it is an international arbitration. If they are filed, then the phases are 2. Phase 1 is recognition of the award, because unlike domestic award, international award requires recognition of the court. Then only it becomes a court decree. So first, objections will be heard by the court. The objections are restricted to the grounds which are mentioned in section 48. Most of the awards are challenged on the basis of public policy only. Public policy is not violation of any statute. It is not violation of the contract provision. It cannot be violation of the procedural law also. This is what, so because the patent illegality is removed. So only on the basis of fundamental principles of Indian law, the arbitration award, foreign arbitration award, enforcement can be stopped. So if one example I will give you, what is the fundamental principle of Indian law. For example, a contract entered into by a minor cannot bring him any disadvantage. So if the award is against a minor, it is courts refuse to enforce it in India because it is against the fundamental policy of Indian law. But we yesterday saw that NAFED case, little bit Supreme Court has created a confusion by going into the law, by going into the contract, by going into the procedural law and merits of the case. But law settled consistently from Renu Sagar, followed by Sri Lal Mahal, and also later by Vijay Karya. The law is very clear in India that at the time of enforcement of a foreign award, the courts cannot go into the merits of the case. This is what we saw till yesterday. Now let us proceed to the today's session, which is about online arbitration. Friends, all of us know well, there is a huge increase in the international trade. If you go to even a supermarket, you will see vegetables from foreign countries, you will see nuts from Afghanistan, you will see small materials from China. So it is a global market. Even a supermarket of the world today is a global market. So lots and lots of business is happening, trading is happening between the countries. At this point of time, particularly in a situation like COVID, and also when the transactions need not be so big. Every import or export will not be so big. Many of the exports will be $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. With $5,000, a 3 lakh claim, a party cannot go to a foreign country and fight a case for recovery. It is totally impossible. So in such a situation, what can be the effective alternate solution so that without parties traveling to the respondent's place, how they can take a legal action? The only way is online arbitration. The online arbitration is a concept which was developed by United Nations in 1983, and it is picking up, and many institutions have started following. And India IDAC has taken a very advanced step by bringing it into practice. They have created a platform, they have created rules. So let us discuss how it works and then discuss about that. And as I told you, 1948 New York Convention, first step. Second is the UNCITRAL Model Law, 1985. 1996 Arbitration and Conciliation Act came in. Now, 2020, with the reason of COVID, online arbitration is going to be the way of arbitration in the future to come. So now let us see, is there any international online arbitration framework? Yes, there are international institutions which have been working for a very long time on online platforms. One of the most famous platforms is World Intellectual Property Organization in Geneva has an online dispute resolution resolving disputes relating to domain name. You may know very well that domain names of popular persons are registered by other individuals, and they create a lot of problems because different types of domain names are coming in every day. Country specific, global specific, business specific, so many different types of domain names are coming in. So what happened was the international community having the internet control, they started realizing that very many people register domain names with bad faith. That means, for example, Tata.com is owned by Tata. One person from other country will register Tata.Taiwan, Tata.Cambodia. So then they will sell some material in that platform, which will be like a real injury to the original company owner. And some of the domain owners refuse to even sell at a reasonable cost. They started exorbitantly demanding huge money for such domain names. So later, a procedure was devised to create an online platform and resolve the disputes. There is another detailed explanation about it in the next slide. So now I will stop this explanation with regard to WIPO here. And then the premier institution of China, that is CETAC, China Economic Trade Trade Developments and something like CETAC is a very important arbitration center of China, and also China Guangzhou Arbitration Center. These two arbitration centers have already developed an online dispute resolution platform, and they are conducting arbitrations also online. And this recently, last year, China Guangzhou called many of us from all over the world, got their feedback to improve their system of online arbitration, which is a very premier institution in China. And in UK and Europe, UK European Consumer Center is having an online platform dealing with all types of consumer related cases in the online platform, which is very reasonable in cost and very speedy remedy, so people are resorting to it. And the whole process, all this came to reality because of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development in the year 2003 developed the base paper, whether the online and the electronic arbitration is feasible. If it is feasible, what will be the challenges? And arbitral institutions launching electronic arbitration should follow certain processes to avoid disputes. So that was a premium base paper, I can say. It's all available in online. You can download and read. It will be a very, very interesting paper to read. So these are there are many other institutions. Don't think only these 3-4 institutions are offering online arbitration. There are many other institutions. I have given only a few examples to show that already online arbitration is possible and it is recognized in many countries, and they are offering arbitration services for a long time online. Now let us see how WIPO model works. World Intellectual Property Organization, online arbitration for domain name disputes. The rules: Uniform Domain Name Dispute Resolution Policy as adopted by Internet Corporation for assigned names and numbers. You are aware that it is a US organization which controls the entire domain names of the world. All over the world, there are different registrars, but they are the controlling authority for all the domain names. They have developed a dispute resolution policy by which the parties who are having disputes for a same name or a similar name can fight their case, and whatever is the outcome of the case is accepted by ICNN, and then the names are changed. For example, me and another person from Hong Kong are fighting for a name. So I will be filing a domain name complaint online in the WIPO online arbitration center. The Hong Kong person will be contacted by WIPO arbitration center and with the details of the arbitrator appointed. So the arbitrator will communicate with the Hong Kong party and they will file their reply. But the fees with regard to this petition, the petitioner, that is me, I have to pay. Once it happens, after hearing both the parties and after checking the bona fides and after seeing the documents provided both the parties to show their genuineness and bona fide, then the arbitrator will give a final award. If I win the case, he will send the award to ICANN and ICANN will transfer the domain name of the Hong Kong person to me at the cost. So this is how it works. In this process, where domain names are confusingly similar. When domain names are registered and used in good faith and legitimate rights over the domains, then the issues are solved. But good faith always doesn't happen. Many times, with bad faith and with negative commercial interest, many people file the register the domain names. That is where issue comes in. So how the process works: complaints are filed online, responses are also received online, and evidence is produced online, and AT decides after hearing the parties. No oral hearing will be there, and decision of AT is final. But at the same time, this institution doesn't want to end up in litigations anywhere. So if any of the party decides to go to the court of law to adjudicate, to get their rights adjudicated, immediately, mostly, this online arbitration process gets suspended or terminated. So you must have seen in papers, many of the parties in India go to High Court on copyright or intellectual property issues, and they contest their rights in the courts also. But this online system is very, very effective globally. Thousands of cases are getting settled each year. Now let us come to IDAC India model. I am going to show only the outline. When you have time, you can download from IDAC site and see the rules later. All of us know well the first stage of arbitration is issuing the notice of arbitration. That means there are two parties who have developed some disputes over their business transactions. So immediately the party who is aggrieved will raise the dispute. How to raise the dispute is they have to send the notice of arbitration. But if the party has chosen IDAC India as the online dispute resolution authority or in the institution, then they need not send the arbitration notice directly to the opposite party. They can send an email to the IDAC registrar with enclosing the brief of the disputes and the arbitration clause. Then IDAC India will ascertain its jurisdiction by examining the arbitration clause, whether their name is incorporated in the arbitration clause properly, whether they can handle the matter under their rules. If they agree, then they will initiate the process. So first stage is notice of arbitration has to be sent just by email or sometimes by hard copy if email is not friendly to that client, but preferred is email. So first stage just happens on an email. Then the appointment of arbitrator. Here the panel of arbitrator is kept online by the IDAC, and only those arbitrators have to be chosen by the parties. You may have a question, why only they should choose them only? Why not others? But the answer here is the IDAC platform has a technical format. So all the empaneled arbitrators of IDAC are trained in the online process. So they will be able to handle it easily, and they will be able to manage the whole arbitration in much better way. And there is no closure or limitation for making an application to IDAC. Anybody who is interested in applying for the arbitrator empanelment, they can apply and attend the training provided by IDAC. And once they are certified as qualified arbitrators, they will be finding their names in the list. So here what they will do is, while making the notice of arbitration, the claimant can choose any 5 arbitrator names from the list and send it to IDAC. IDAC, while issuing the notice to the respondent, they will also send the list of proposed arbitrators by the claimant. If the respondent is accepting any one of them as the arbitrator, then the IDAC will follow the joint appointment of the parties. If not, IDAC India will apply its method of selection of arbitrator and appoint an arbitrator. Once arbitrator is appointed, the parties and arbitrator are given username password of the site. The site will have case platform which will have case pages. For each case there will be one page provided. The page will be having access only to the parties, counsels of the parties, arbitrator and IDAC case manager. Only these 6 entities can have access to this site. So what will happen immediately after getting the username and password, the claimant can upload their claim in the website only. But one copy of all the documents, originals, should be sent by hard copy to the IDAC Secretariat, because in case of any challenge to the award, the IDAC has to forward this original hard copy documents to the court. In such a situation, the IDAC will be maintaining the one set of original records in their office. So whatever application you file, one copy has to go to IDAC. All other copies will be downloaded from the site only. So in the same way, respondent will file the statement of defense. If parties file applications, they will also file in the same way. And when they are filing this, each time one filing is made, the arbitrator and all the other parties involved in that particular case will get an email from the site automatically showing that there is a document uploaded by so-and-so. So that means people can understand that there is a document filed by the other party. So the entire activity with regard to filing happens online only. So the arbitrator also will not ask for any personal meeting. Arbitrator will examine all the papers. Once pleadings are complete, what he will say is he will formulate certain questions, issues, and then circulate to the other parties, and other parties have to respond. I will explain to you little later, but now let me come to award, how award is finalized. Then on the basis of the papers and documents filed by the parties, arbitrator will pass an award. And the original copy with signed copies will be sent to parties by hard copy also, soft copy also. So this is how the overall online process of IDAC works. Now we will see different phases in detail. Appointment of arbitrator under IDAC India rules. IDAC has a panel of trained arbitrators. With regard to international arbitrators, as of now, we are enrolling only the fellow members of Chartered Institute of Arbitrators. Later, we will be having our own training and then empanel the arbitrators. And first, as I told you, once the claimant proposal and claim comes, claimant can select 5 names from the panel and send it to IDAC, and also with a copy to respondent. And declaration immediately after selection of one person, IDAC will select one and then ask for a declaration from them. The potential arbitrator or proposed arbitrator will send its declaration with regard to his relationship with the parties or the lawyers appearing in the case, which will be shared with the parties to ensure transparency. If any of the party has any objection, they can object to the appointment. IDAC will decide the objection. If not, it will be referred to the arbitrator as provided in the Arbitration and Conciliation Act. And after declaration is satisfactory, IDAC will confirm the arbitrator appointment. Now, hearing procedure. As I told you, using the login details, party should upload the documents in the case window. One hard copy shall be sent to IDAC India office, as I told you, for the purpose of the court in case of any future litigation. That original copies will be forwarded to the court. And evidences. How evidences will be heard? No oral evidence hearings are allowed. Arbitration will be only on document basis. See, here we have to see the justification for this. An international transaction or a domestic commercial transaction will have very less element of oral proving of factual things. It is very rare unless that it is a huge contract with so many transactions like infrastructure contracts or something, supply contracts like that. In all other contracts, oral hearings are only a futile exercise because all events, all disputes can be proved by way of the communications between the parties, by way of the document proofs from the parties. So, to expedite this process, evidences are not allowed. At this point of time, you may get another question. Okay, it is a complex case where it is required to be a oral examination of witnesses necessary even in the opinion of the arbitrator. Then it will be converted as a normal arbitration between the parties. But 90% of the cases that won't happen because all the evidences can be proved by document and it will be only a paper-based document. And then oral hearings. And in this point of time, you have to see the oral evidence. The requirement of oral arguments. In some cases, maybe because of the complexity in the legal issues, parties or the lawyers will insist for oral hearings. In such a case, arbitrator can decide, in his opinion, if there is a requirement for having an oral argument, then the arbitrator can allow and do it online by video conferencing methods. There will be no direct hearings. But this also will be decided by the arbitrator on the basis of the requirements and legal points raised by the parties. Then otherwise, how it will be decided? Otherwise, the arbitrator will ask both the parties to submit a list of issues. And the arbitrator will consider both the proposals and formulate a neutral list of issues. And he will circulate that list of issues to both the parties, giving sufficient time to file their written submissions on each and every issue, which is decided by the arbitrator. So after he analyzing the documents filed, pleadings filed, and the written arguments, the arbitrator will pass the award. So that award will be binding on the parties. Now let us see the seat of arbitration. Okay, it is an international arbitration. IDAC India is selected as the administering arbitration institute. So how a seat will be decided? Normally and most probably, all the parties will incorporate a seat in the arbitration agreement in the contract itself. They have to. In case if they miss out, there will be a default seat provided in the arbitrations rules, which will be the Delhi as the default seat. And fee schedule will be much cheaper than the regular arbitrations, because here no oral hearings are there, no wastage of time is there. The arbitrator has to study the papers and hear the arguments if necessary and pass the orders based on the written submissions by the parties. So if you see the schedule fee provided in the Act, this fee structure is almost like 30% of the fees prescribed in the act. That means government prescribed act is on the higher side, and all the institutions are mostly following the government prescribed rules, which is really expensive, and online mechanism will reduce the cost in a big way. Then applicable laws. How applicable laws will be decided in international online arbitration. Applicable laws are decided by the parties only. If not, there will be a default law provided. There is a default law provided in the online arbitration rules of IDAC India, which will say the Indian laws are applicable to the arbitration. Then enforceability, all of you know well, if the seat chosen by the parties is a New York Convention seat, then it is enforceable all over the world. India is a New York Convention seat, so Indian award is enforceable in many of the countries. These things already we have seen. Then finally, advantage of online arbitration, it is like a summary. First is convenience. You see, parties are, for example, a Singapore party is sending some material to India, maybe for 5,000 Singapore dollar, which is 3 lakh of rupees. So the Indian party is not paying that money. So if he has to go for a normal arbitration, for this 3 lakhs, he may be spending a lot of money. Because if you see the normal arbitral institution, registration fee itself is like $2,500, which will be more than the claim itself. So number one. Number two, coming to a foreign country for an arbitration process, engaging a local lawyer, taking the legal advice, and then proceeding further is another major cost issue. Here, the party in Singapore can be in Singapore. They will have an in-house lawyer, or they will have their own lawyer who will assist them in preparing the document filing. Same way, the party sitting in India can do the same sitting in their office, and issues will be decided. If required, oral arguments will happen same way online, and the award will be pronounced. So the convenience of the parties is a very, very important selling point for this. Then less cost. As I told you, travel costs, legal costs, and arbitration costs are much lower than the regular arbitration. Enforceability is ensured and faster resolution. IDAC's maximum time limit is 6 months because all the online arbitrations are done under the fast track system. So maximum time to be taken is 6 months from the date of formation of the arbitral tribunal. So these are the major advantages of online arbitration. So whoever has the interest to learn, you can learn it from different sources. And my only conclusion is online arbitration is the future of arbitration from now. Thank you very much. Now we can go for questions. Whoever has a question, please type in the chat box, and our chief guest also will join to answer the questions. Okay, first question is I thank Mr. Tushar Batija for the excellent comments about the sessions. We are thankful to you for cooperating with us. And surely we will cooperate with you. You can write a mail to us. And Arushi Dingra is asking a question. What is the time limits of this online arbitration? So time limit is provided by the institution once they get the arbitration request, but the time limit will be phased out in such a way that the whole process comes to a conclusion in 6 months' time from the date of appointment of arbitrator. Thank you, Arushi, for your question. Mr. Mohammed Subur, how effective is the online examination of the witnesses in online arbitration? See, there are various difficulties in examining a witness online because of the reason that the examination of witness has to be done in a secluded place where it should be ensured that he is not tutored by somebody. So all these things are taken care by providing extra facilities. That is why IDAC India is not encouraging online examination of witnesses. And if the arbitrator at any stage comes to a conclusion that examination of oral witness is necessary for the arbitration, then he has the right to convert that arbitration into a regular arbitration, where only physical hearings will happen. What will be the possible disadvantages of online resolution? Sir, you want to say anything on this questions?
I don't think actually, am I audible? I don't think any disadvantage of the online arbitration. See, we have to move towards particularly resolution. We take pride in actually litigation. We have to move towards resolution because finally business has to go on. Then everybody can have the prospects. So that mindset is already started, and I think I don't see any online arbitration disadvantage at present because it is cost effective, it is time effective, and as explained by Ravi sir in the session, that some of the values do not permit other kind of dispute resolution. Say 3 lakh rupees. If you go for any other kind of resolution, I don't think it is worthwhile. At least advocate will say, forget about it. Or you will be spending that much amount in getting the justice. So I think this is the best opportunity, and we should take the benefit. And I think people will have, there will be, I can say there will be 5-10% who may be disadvantage, and that disadvantage is there in all the kind of system of judicial system, I will say. People doesn't want to they want to prolong, they don't want to get into that particularly resolution mode. Have I answered perfectly?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Now Gautami's question, Article 20 of IDAC rules. Very happy that we have already read the rules. For justifiable excuses, time period may be extended. Can you please throw light on what is the scope of this term? Since everything is going online, the scope is narrowed. Yes. It is true that IDAC will be very strict in not allowing anybody to drag on the matter. But who knows, you are aware that there can be some unavoidable eventualities, maybe a health reason or some other reason of even the arbitrator. Matter may go for 1 or 2 months extra. Only to face such eventualities, we have provided such a clause in that, but normally it will not be applied. And Avichal Sinha, what is the impact of IT Act and cyber laws on online arbitration? Online arbitration, IT Act and cyber laws will help because they also authenticate the electronic documents as valid documents. Otherwise, I don't see there will be any negative implication of IT Act or cyber law on online arbitration, because arbitration is a process which is protected by the procedural law of the state. On what grounds have you challenged the 2019 Amendment Act? I explained already. Actually, I have filed a public interest litigation in my name in Supreme Court challenging the 2019 Amendment Act on 2 main grounds. it is providing qualification for arbitrators for the arbitrations seated in India, in which there are various categories of people are left out, more particularly the foreign lawyers, foreign judges who have an expertise in a particular jurisdiction. They cannot sit as an arbitrator in India as per the Act. Number two, they are providing a 10-year experience to become an arbitrator. As I told you, there is a huge potential for young people to become arbitrators and take up arbitration as an exclusive profession, because there are going to be thousands of cases, sorry, not thousands, lakhs of cases coming into arbitration soon because of the development of online arbitration. At that time, in my opinion, prescribing a 10-year experience for any arbitration is not correct, because smaller quantum arbitrations can be done by younger people. They are much brighter. They know the law. They can understand the law. They can get trained. And even Chartered Institute of Arbitrators doesn't provide any such 10-year experience or anything for making a member. So these are the two main grounds by which I have challenged the 2019 Act. Yesterday's slide we will be sending to all of you by email, because it is not able to open now also. Can domestic arbitrations also can be conducted online? What are the institutions? See, there are one institution in Bangalore. They call it as ARB Hub or something like that. But I am not able to find their rules so far. I don't know what is the rules. As of now, IDAC India has the separate rules for domestic and international arbitrations. Domestic arbitrations can be very well conducted in online. You must have seen in Government of India website, they have recommended some institutions. And as of now, only 2 of the institutions, including IDAC India, have launched a platform. IDAC India is a recommended online arbitration center by the Ministry of Law and Justice.
I will take one question.
Yes, sir, please.
Can arbitration be implemented in criminal justice system in India? Actually, a criminal justice system arbitration may not be possible. The crimes which are compoundable only can be considered, but that I think there will be some kind of changes will be required.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the answer. If one of the parties not following the award, then what are the penalties? There is no penalty provided in the Act, but you can enforce the award against the party. Enforcement means what? You can attach their property, you can attach their bank account, you can ask the court to sell the property and give you the money. All these things happen in enforcement. So you have to go to the court in which they are living, that person, or he has the properties, and attach and get your money back. So that is the process available. If arbitration agreement is introduced through a contract which is void ab initio, what is the effect of arbitration agreement? See, that is what is the concept of separability of arbitration agreement. Even if the main contract which contains the arbitration agreement is declared void ab initio, then also the arbitration agreement will come out of that main agreement and be alive, and the parties have to resort to arbitration only to resolve the disputes with regard to the contract. And next question. Vinod Kumar, I think you have seen the fee list also. Yes, it is correct. What you are telling is right. Is it mandatory to get enrolled in arbitration institute to practice arbitration in India? Private arbitration cannot be done or not. See, you can be a private arbitrator. Anybody can be an arbitrator. There is no qualification, in my opinion, should be prescribed. But as of now, a law prescribes you should be a graduate in any of the discipline with 10-year experience. Then you can be considered as an arbitrator. Many of the arbitrations, parties only appoint the arbitrator. If somebody has the confidence on you that you can be an arbitrator, then they can nominate you in an arbitration directly without approaching anybody. Institutions also will not have any objection. But the advantage in enrolling with the institutions is, in sole arbitrator arbitrations, institutions will only mostly will select on the basis of your background, your domain expertise, your experience, all those things. So you can also enroll yourself and practice independently also. Certificates will come out to all of you who have already filled the forms, don't worry. PowerPoint also will come. Any instances where physical arbitration converted into ODR and ODR to physical arbitration. As I told you, parties at any point of time can choose their own forum. Nobody can stop them if they jointly do.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Please, you want to.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
So it is the will and wish of the parties. What is the meaning of confusingly similar domain name? As I told you, every day there are new domains are announced by the registration companies. For example, for lawyers, they will put .adv. For educational institutions, .edu. At that point of time, somebody can go and file a domain name or register a domain name of Oxford, oxford.edu. So this will be a misleading if he will be running some other institution's website in that. So this is what is the, but Oxford will have another website saying that oxford.org. So now the oxford.org, oxford.edu are totally different institutions. But the people who are a normal person who is seeing both the domains will think that both are same. So this is what similar or confusing. Sir, you want to say something on this? Similar domain names. One question, if India is the seat of arbitration, then what is the governing procedural law of the arbitration? Is it Arbitration and Conciliation Act? Yes, 100% correct. Should India enforce emergency arbitration, keeping in mind India's efforts to make India a seat of international arbitration? Yes, it is correct. That is why Law Commission of India, prior to 2015 amendments, made a recommendation to the government requesting government to recognize emergency arbitration in India by providing a statutory provision. But unfortunately, government did not look into it. Any arbitration professional will say that emergency arbitration provision is a better provision for better appreciation of facts in the interim award stage itself. Can you spread some light on ad hoc arbitration as we see Justice Nazir substituted Justice Ravindran from arbitration? Actually, I am not knowing about that case. See, ad hoc arbitration, courts are appointing the arbitrator. Sometimes there can be conflict of interest also, but normally courts also will seek declaration prior from that particular arbitrator before appointing the arbitrator. If it is not done, if something is found out later, then there may be a replacement. But that is why the best thing is going for an institutional arbitration, which will have an in-house mechanism by which going to court and spending money on people like us lawyers for small things is unnecessary. So best thing is if you have an institution, it will be very less expensive. Procedure is simple.
So I will take this question actually.
Yes,
Will arbitration be helpful in dispute relating to PDPA, Personal Data Protection Act?
yes, sir. Please, sir.
So answer is yes, but provided the dispute is with the individual, because otherwise with the government it will be a fine procedure. So you will have to justify again. So that there will not be arbitration with the government. But arbitration will be possible. For example, there is a violation of personal data. Company can do arbitration with him to sort out the matter. So there will be claim, and it will be a commercial claim like consumer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the. If any one of the parties is going to extraordinarily challenges and going to be declared as NPA very soon, can an order be sought from the High Court of the seat for converting the offline arbitration into an online one? See, High Court or anybody cannot convert the procedure what is provided in the contract. Only parties have to jointly change it. So if one party is not agreeing, then you cannot change from offline to online. You should preferably put in your original contract itself that IDAC rules will apply. IDAC online arbitration mechanism will be the mechanism for dispute resolution. Then it becomes simple. Later stage, when parties fall into dispute, they will not like to change their arbitration agreement. Whatever you say, they will object. That is the most of the tendency. If you are very lucky, if they agree, it's good, then both of you can jointly do. Court need not do. Court cannot do also. How to present physical evidence to arbitrator in online arbitration? See, all the documents can be filed, authenticated copies can be filed online only. One copy will go to IDAC. If opposite party is objecting to any one of the document, then the party who filed the document has to produce the original and get it approved. That is the normally we do in all the arbitrations, admission denial of documents. That procedure is available there also. So an authenticated copy is sufficient. Don't you think that we don't have that kind of infrastructure for online arbitration due to cybercrime? It is not like that now. So many huge financial transactions are happening safely. So many banks are operating online. So there are safety mechanisms. Everywhere there will be challenges, but we have to face it. Kindly throw some light on online arbitrations involving parties from China. This will be a major market tomorrow.
Yeah.
The best thing is the online arbitration. If you want to have a China seat, then CTAC is a good seat of CTAC is a good and well-established institution having online arbitration. There is no harm in having online arbitration in China also. They recognize the awards passed online. And the same way, since China is recognized by India, if there is an Indian party, then that award passed online is enforceable against the Indian party also. But if you are importing, then you can ask them to choose India seat. That will be a better idea for you. Many times they also agree because Chinese parties are not comfortable with many Chinese institutions also. So they may choose to come to India. But you cannot make IDAC India or any foreign institution to administer arbitration in China. That you have to make it clear. No foreign arbitral institution can administer arbitration in China. But if an Indian award goes to China, it is given top priority. A top priority means any foreign award. They have a fantastic system. Actually, in China, there is a 3-layer courts like our courts. One is called People's Court, which is the district court. People's High Court is like our High Court. People's Supreme Court is like Supreme Court. If an award is going, a foreign award is filed in the People's Court for enforcement. If the People's Court has some objection and it doesn't want to enforce it, then they cannot reject just like that. Our courts can do. Our courts can refuse enforcement. They have to take, the court judge has to take the permission from the higher court, explaining the reasons why they don't want to enforce the award. Then only they can decline enforcement. So foreign award enforcement is very systematic, faster, and very efficient in China. So preferably you can convince them to come to India for an arbitration. Yes, online arbitration, online dispute resolution confidentiality is maintained. 100% maintained because nobody else will have access to any of the documents. Now our law also provides confidentiality. So confidentiality will be 100% maintained. And no other person will have any right to go into the case management phase of the site. What kind of issues can be resolved by arbitration? That is, any commercial dispute can be resolved by way of an arbitration. Rupali, thanks for the comments. Many of you are giving very good comments. Thank you so much for that. How about online arbitration, mediation, arbitration? See, arbitration, mediation, arbitration is happening physically as of now. But this is a good idea. We can also try, IDAC also can try this. Parties coming to an arbitration can be sent to a mediator. Mediator will try to mediate between the parties online. If they come for a settlement, the arbitrator will pass it as an award. That will be a finally enforceable award globally. That is a good idea. We can recommend to IDAC. Mr. Veerasekhar, we will be sending the details to you. There is one on an institution called ICADR. Is the institution still also pursuing? Now the ICADR is going to be converted into New Delhi International Arbitration Center. So it is not working as of now. If governing law is mentioned as Singapore in the contract, what will be the feasible to keep seat of arbitration? See, governing law means you cannot say governing law. There are three laws, as I told you. If you say procedural law as Singapore, then Singapore will be the seat. If substantive law is of Singapore, it need not be Singapore. But in the contract, in case if you have put generally, all the laws of Singapore will be governing the arbitration. That means Singapore will be the seat. That means that includes procedural law also. There is a Supreme Court order which states that there is no need to approach a court to get a declaration that a foreign award has a degree, but it is default degree. No, it is not correct, which is Shaji, you can share that judgment that requires explanation. Because as I told you, any foreign award has two phases. First is recognition and next is enforcement. But there are not two separate proceedings. In the same proceeding, one phase is recognition and one is enforcement. Yes, IDAC is planning centers in other cities also. And many of the questions are personal in nature. We will try to answer to you maybe in the course of 1 week time or something. I am answering only the questions which are beneficial to all the people attending here. If arbitration began and some portion of the fee was paid, but due to some reason the arbitrator is changed, will the old arbitrator refund the money to the parties? No, they don't refund the money in ad hoc arbitration. But in many institutional arbitration, they don't release the total money. They release in phases. So institution arbitration will have some more protection. But in case of ad hoc arbitrations, normally arbitrators don't pay the refund the money. Isn't there should be optimization of court involvement in international arbitration? Yes, that is what is the dream is. How can anybody challenge the award given by IDAC? The same procedure, as I told you, if they have chosen a seat, in the seat it can be challenged, or it can be challenged in Delhi. If seat is not chosen, since the default seat is Delhi, it can be challenged in Delhi under section 34 of the Act. How can we enroll in foreign arbitral center, for example, China? You have to follow their website. Once in a year, each organization will call for applications, proposals for empanelment of arbitrators. Mostly international institutions will see your experience or your qualification in the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators as a fellow member. Then it is easy to register. What is the scope of construction arbitration in India? There are many construction arbitrations happening in India. And sir, any of these questions you want to take? I don't see any more questions. Okay, thank you. The time also is 4:30. Now over to Banu for closing.
I thank all my speakers and the participants for attending this webinar, 5-day webinar today. We will be organizing such webinars on arbitration-related topics in future as well. We will inform you the details at that point of time. Be safe. Thanks again on behalf of IDAC, India, and Lawsonet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.